Hi, this is June Stanley. This is my EDL 854, Module 11, Gifts to Students or Staff. Just as a summary, the three things to be aware of is that you're using funds from appropriate sources, that they be of nominal value, and be aware of the public perception of the gifts or awards that you are awarding. So as far as gifts to students, if they're coming from the school activity fund, there's really only two appropriate times to give a gift or an award. One is an incentive to the best sellers in fundraising events, and the other is a recognition of special achievement to students or teams. So as incentives for fundraising events, the fund should only come from the funds that are raised by the students that were involved in that event, and they should only go to students who were the sellers for that event. That's pretty obvious. And then the price should be nominal. In other words, they should be pretty cheap. It's simply a recognition. And so you don't want to be taking funds to give to a student that was involved that's going to in any way affect the profitability of that event. So awards for special achievement, these are really important. You know, every semester or every year, we recognize students who have had outstanding achievement. They may be a team, they may be individual students. It might be for sports or academics or any number of things. And so, like I said, I believe these are very important. However, it's simply a recognition, and so these awards or gifts should be small. At most, they should be a small trophy or a plaque, and generally they're a nice certificate. So once again, when you purchase these, you are trying to keep the public opinion of these kind of the expense for these kind of gifts in mind. So gifts to staff members, three main categories: special occasions such as the end of a successful year, great test scores, the reaching of an important benchmark, things like that are for staff morale. It's nice to be able to give them a little something. So they say. Fundraising incentives if staff members are involved in a fundraising event, and gifts for all staff. So special occasion gifts. The main thing is that the funds come from staff-generated funds. And as usual, they should be reasonably priced, which in my mind means they should be cheap. They should be trinkets. And so a lot of times there's a committee that runs a staff remembrance fund for a school. And the funds for this they may have annual dues that the teachers have agreed to pay. Or I think more commonly, the funds are generated from staff donations. And they're run by a committee, and the membership for the committee should rotate every year, and they come up with the guidelines for the use of the funds and fund contributions. They set dollar limits for the funds. They determine what kind of gifts are appropriate, and they meet at least annually and look at the guidelines for the fund use. As always, they should be reasonably priced and keep public perception in mind when you're thinking about these kind of gifts. So fundraising, generally it's the students that they're selling items for fundraising, but if you do have staff members that are involved in this kind of event, then like student events, you can award something to the staff member or members with the highest sales. And as always, the gifts should be cheap. In my mind, they should be cheap. And the book says the cost should not exceed 5% of the overall profit from the event. I believe it should be smaller. I think it should be, if anything is given at all, it should be a very simple recognition of that staff member's efforts. And so all staff gifts, a lot of times when you have something at the end of the year, for example, or some kind of a great event for the school, or Staff Appreciation Week, then there may be a small gift given to all staff members. It has to go to all staff members, and as usual, they're fairly cheap, and public perception is kept in mind. Since they're going to staff members, then they must be paid for by staff-generated funds. The only time maybe there can be exception to that is if you're giving something say less than $5 each, and the expectation is that it's going to be used in the classroom, a set of highlighters or something like that. Sometimes the funds can come from the PTA, and typically when you have Staff Appreciation Week, the PTA may contribute some small gifts for every staff member. And it's important if the gift is cash or cash equivalent, say a gift card, a check, cash, services, something like that, then any of those are seen as pay to a staff member, and they should go on that every employee's W-2 form so that they can be taxed. So special efforts for individuals. Sometimes someone has a catastrophic event, they have an illness or an accident, a death, and people really want to help out, and they want to be able to generate funds, and they want to be able to give those funds to the student or the staff member in order just to help out. And so this is nothing to do with school. It's strictly a personal thing. And so you want to be really careful about how you collect and how you keep the funds. And so the book suggests that you ask your district accounting department before you even begin. And a lot of times you can coordinate with the PTA to do this. They're an established organization. They may already know what kind of guidelines to follow, and they may be able to hold the funds for you. And either in coordination with the PTA or without them, you really should not have those funds be held within the school accounting system. They should, consider using a bank to hold the funds. You can set up an account in the individual's name, and people can deposit directly into that account, or you can have a sponsor who collects the funds and deposits them into the account. And when you do give the gift to a staff member, then the gift has to be reported to payroll, so it can go on the W-2 and be taxed. That's my reference. Thank you for listening.